already squeezed. They build positions during the quiet period. The quiet period is right now. And here is the thing that most retail holders do not understand about how institutional advisory adoption works. When an asset class receives compliant institutional access for the first time, the first wave of price discovery does not happen gradually over years. It happens in a compressed window. The Bitcoin ETF approval produced $30 billion in net inflows within the first quarter. Ethereum ETF approvals followed a similar pattern. XRP ETPs are in the filing pipeline. The supply mechanics are tightening. The Advisor Intent Survey just broke a 6-year record. The legislative timeline is now in weeks, not months, and the global regulatory framework is converging simultaneously. I personally believe most people in this community are dramatically underestimating the velocity of what the next 60 to 90 days looks like once the markup clears. Not because of optimism, because of the mechanics I just walked you through. If you are not subscribed to this channel, right now, before the next update drops, is the moment to fix that. Because what is coming in this story moves fast, and the next video is going to cover something most people in this space are not even thinking about yet. I know what some of you are feeling right now, and I want to address it directly. The price has not moved the way you expected. The legislative calendar has been close before, and then delayed. Every month there is a new update, a new positive signal, a new reason to believe the breakout is imminent, and then another week of sideways price action. I hear that. That frustration is real, and I am not going to tell you it is wrong to feel it. But here is what I know from watching this space carefully over time. The period of maximum frustration is almost always the period directly before a structural inflection. That is not a motivational statement. That is the documented pattern of every major asset class that passed through a regulatory clarity event. Money market funds in the 1970s, ETFs in the 1990s, Bitcoin ETFs in 2024. Each of them had a prolonged, exhausting, price-goes-nowhere period directly before the structural demand shift. The people who stayed positioned through that period did not need to time the market found them. Here is the one signal I am personally watching right now. 51% advisor intent is not a sentiment reading. It is a pre-decision signal from a market segment that has never been in this asset class before. That is structurally different from every previous crypto cycle. And here is the specific data point that dismantles the strongest objection, the argument that political risk will delay this again. The Harris X poll shows Democrats plus 43 in support of clarity, Republicans plus 48, independents plus 32. Crypto-backed candidates won 85% of the congressional races where the industry was active in 2024. And in Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, the exact 3 states Democrats need to recover, crypto-motivated voters outnumbered the previous presidential margin of victory. No senator running for re-election votes against 52% of their constituents when the vote is being tracked at the ballot box. The political math is settled. The question is simply whether you will be in the position you want to be in when the math becomes a signed law on a presidential desk. And that brings me to the only question that actually matters. Here is the answer to everything we covered today, and it is simpler than most people want it to be. The 51% is not a poll. It is a pre-order. $30 to $40 trillion in advisory capital has been structurally locked out of this market by a plumbing problem, not a belief problem. The in-kind transfer mechanism just solved the plumbing. The Clarity Act is solving the regulatory last mile. The Senate markup is the final checkpoint. And the global framework, MyCA, UK FCA registration, Japan reclassification, RLUSD approvals, is running parallel. This is not multiple stories. It is one story. The story of a new category of institutional buyer gaining compliant access to an asset class for the first time. During a window when supply is tightening, regulatory clarity is arriving simultaneously across the world's major markets, and the political cost of blocking it has become mathematically indefensible. Most people watching the price chart right now will look back at this moment and ask why they did not see it. You are not most people. You are one of the very few who actually understand that this wave is not retail excitement. It is the structural mechanics of institutional advisory adoption, and you understand it before the price reflects it. That is the difference between smart money and exit liquidity, and you are not the latter. But here is the one thread I am not closing today, because this story is not finished. What happens specifically in the first 90 days after clarity is signed, what the ETP inflow data actually looks like, which assets see the first wave of advisory capital, and what that means for the XRP supply dynamics in that window, is a story most people in this community have not even started to think through. And that is exactly what I am covering next. What is your current XRP position? Drop it below, or just say, in position or still watching. And if you are not subscribed yet, this is your moment, because the next 90 days are going to move faster than most people are ready for, and you are going to want to be here when they do.